hope I can wash my car with $2. Oh, God. It still looks disgusting, to be honest. About a month ago, I went up to Albury to play in a poker tournament, and Albury is a 4-hour drive from where I live. Hey guys, welcome back again. Tonight I'm heading over to Albury to play in a poker tournament over the weekend. Just a little one, nothing too big. It's a $90 buy-in and it's got a $10,000 guaranteed prize pool. Should be a good weekend. It's a 2-day event. Yeah, got a long drive ahead of us. Pretty much, we're just going to talk about some hands from this tournament. I didn't play my first hand. We got to the second blind level. I used that first blind level to observe quite a bit, and the first thing that I realized was that the player sitting on my left was an absolute, he was just very bad. Pretty much everything that you shouldn't be doing, this guy was doing. I didn't mind. I got involved in quite a few pots with him, and he is the reason I was able to build up quite a nice chip stack early on. So in this first hand, I want to talk about blinds were 50, 100, and we had pocket 9s in the big blind. Under the gun 1 and under the gun 2 both limp in. Small blind decides to come along as well. I decide to make it 425. Under the gun 1 and under the gun 2 call, and then the small blind folds. So we go 3 ways to the flop. So the flop came down queen 9-4 with 2 hearts. So we've flopped middle set. I decided to go with a smaller sizing, and I did this because I wanted to keep under the gun 1 in the hand. So this is the guy who's been playing crazy. So I decided to go for a sizing of 400, and he called and under the gun 2 folded. So heads up to the turn, which came an offsuit 8. This time I bet 600 and he snap called. River comes an offsuit 3, so the flush didn't come in. There is a straight there, but we've still got a pretty strong hand. This time I decided to bet 2,000, and I thought he was going to make a really big fold for a minute because he took a while, and then he open folded Jack 7 of diamonds. So he was going for the backdoor runner on the flop, and he sort of picked something up on the turn. Next hand, we had queen 9 of clubs on the button. 2 people limped in, it gets around to me, and at this point I'd been raising quite a bit. I wasn't limping any hands. This was the first hand that I limped in with. So the small blind called and the big blind checked. So the flop came king 8-5 with 2 clubs. Small blind and big blind check, and the under the gun player decides to lead for 600. I decide to call, small blind decides to call as well, and the big blind folds. So we go 3 ways to the turn, which comes down the 10 of clubs. This time the small blind decides to lead out for 2,000. The under the gun player decides to call, and I decide to just flat as well. River came the 9 of diamonds. The small blind decides to bet 3,000. Under the gun player tank folds, and I decide to raise to 10,000. And the small blind snap called, and he rolled over 6 4 of clubs. I got a little bit sad after this hand because some of the other players were starting to get a little bit annoyed at the player on my left. One of the older gentlemen on the table started going,
What you call with that for?
And he's like, oh, I had a flush. It's a bit hard to fold a flush. And the old guy goes,
oh yeah, maybe for you.
It's people like that and that sort of attitude that stops people from coming back to tournaments. I was more than happy for him to keep on doing what he was doing. This next hand here comes from the table that I eventually busted on. We're about an hour away from bagging up for day 2 at this point. I'd probably been sitting here for about 30 minutes, and during that time I hadn't played many hands at all. So at this hand here I had Jack 10 offsuit on the button. A player in middle position decides to limp, and I decide to limp as well. The big blind was the big blind on his own, and he decided to check. So we go 3 ways to the flop, which came down 9, 10 for rainbow. The big blind checks and the player who limped in decided to bet 12,000. I decided to call and the big blind decides to call as well. On the turn, we hit another 10, so now we've got trip. So the big blind checks again, and then the player who led on the flop decided to bet 20,000. At this point, I had 85k behind, so if I call here, I had 65k left, and I did call. I don't know if I should be shoving that turn or not. I didn't really know too much about the player leading at this point, but anyway, yeah, so we go 3 ways to the river, which comes a 6. So there's no flushes out there. However, 7-8 is obviously now a straight. And this time it's checked around to me. There was quite a lot in the pot at this point, and I was thinking, is my 10 really good? I wasn't really concerned about the guy who had been betting into us on the other streets. I was more concerned about the player in the blinds. So if I shove here and he calls and he's wrong, he's got 10k left. So the player in the big blind, he was a good player. So I eventually decided to shove. So that was for 65k that I had left. He thought about 2 minutes and he folded. And the other player in the hand folded as well. And then the big blind, he actually rolled over Jack 10. So we had the same hand.
All right, let's just stop for a minute. I honestly don't know what I'm talking about in some of these spots. I'm still not 100% sure I'm happy with the way that I played it. Just putting this together, it's been making me think. I was worried about the guy in the blinds, but from what I'd seen, I knew that he was a player who was definitely good enough and capable of making a big fold. I honestly wasn't sure that my Jack 10 was even good, but I'd already invested so much into that pot and I wanted it. We were bagging up in about an hour, and obviously you don't want to go to day 2 as a short stack, and I was kind of at that point there where it's like, you know, make a big stack or go home. I honestly thought that if I checked that hand there, I wasn't going to win, so I think that's why I shoved. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember what I was thinking at the time. Watching this now has made me think that I probably could have done a few things better, but in the end the shove was correct. We would have been chopping it up if I didn't shove.
I didn't show him my hand, but I said that I had ace 10, so I don't know if that was believable or not, but he kind of did a sigh of relief. But yeah, I didn't have ace 10, I had Jack 10, but I said I had ace 10 just to make him feel like he made a good fold. So yeah, that was pretty much the Albury tournament. I ended up busting this tournament 10 minutes before bagging up for day 2 in a really sick spot. So if you want to hear about how I busted, head over to my 3rd vlog that I uploaded. I will link that at the end of the video. I think that's the end of the vlog now. Bye.